So we got a couple of emails this week, and one of them was asking me a question and was kind of a little provocative about it, and I thought they were upset. And it turns out that not only do the people on camera at billwhittle.com occasionally use satire and sarcasm, but occasionally our members do so as well.
I would hope so.
So we had this little back and forth interaction, and this member at the end said that he would continue to be a member at billwhittle.com until they put him into hospice, or something like until the republic collapses. Something like that. And then
so the question would be, which one comes first, obviously.
Well, I hope those are both a long, long time from now.
Yes, and I thought he's probably less likely to go into hospice.
I'd like to also just say at this point, before you continue, that I don't see any reason to cut it off at hospice.
Fair enough.
The Stratosphere Lounge has been successfully used to put people into medicinally induced comas for the better part of 5 or 6 years now.
Well, and the good
I don't
thing
see any
about
reason to
using the Stratosphere Lounge instead of an opiate is that it's non-addictive.
Also, watching it causes you to lose the will to live, which is another big part of the equation.
That's your Social Security solvency right there.
Take the pill. So anyway, then within an hour or so, I get another email where somebody says at the end of his email that he will be a member at billwhittle.com unto the day of his death. And then shortly thereafter, I received a note from his wife saying that he had just passed away, and we just want to extend.
No!
No. So actually, but it was just funny that like twice in one day with just an hour or so apart, I received 2 emails, both from people expressing such heartfelt devotion to this cause that they were prepared to give the last full measure of their devotion.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
Yes.
I coined that phrase just now. I penned it myself.
Oh, as well coined.
While traveling on a train to a little town in Pennsylvania.
That was your last best twist of words there, Scott.
That's
and I'm
right.
very proud.
I folded it up and I put it in my hat, and my stovepipe hat.
Yeah, you should trademark that.
So, speaking of trademarks, this is a backstage episode of Right Angle that has nothing to do with trademarks, and that's the theme of this episode. Actually, is nothing to do with trademarks. I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, and the members have made this possible. And if you're watching this right now, it means you are a member, and so we are grateful for that. And we want you to live for a long, long time, not just because we love you personally, but because those checks keep coming as long as you live. So we're grateful. This week, Bill has the members sponsored episode, the one that goes out to all the world at the urging of our members. And by the way, Bill, that was one of the notes I got this week that somebody said, well, are you guys having trouble? Because I see that you're putting more content out there in the clear. And I said, no, we're not doing that. Wasn't our idea. We're doing that because our members have essentially forced us to. And so anyway, Bill, you get to host that deal. So what would you like to do?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
much. 2 things here. I think with one political one and one kind of eye on the far horizon one, which I always like to do every now and then. The members, one eye on the far horizon is a guy has, I got all of these from Instapundit, by the way.
Not heard
a blog run by a bunch of hacks. Used to be good when Glenn ran it. Anyway, 2 related stories. One of them is that I should preface this by saying that there have been, honest to God, scores, if not hundreds, of these kinds of videos. But basically, it's a proposal for a von Braun space station that would house 1,500 people in orbit, rotates, looks an awful lot like the 2001 space station.
It's a dead ringer. Yeah.
And is this these modular tube things that go around?
No, dude. This is like a space station worthy of the 21st century.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously this thing is vaporware and the guy's pushing it. But the reason I like it is because, and the reason I want to talk about it is because it's the first time I've seen in years somebody really doing something audacious and pushing something ambitious and giving the way that SpaceX and Blue Origin are moving. this thing no longer seems to me to be just like a complete impossibility. I mean, it may be time for people to get excited about it again. In any event, I'd like to talk about it because it's the kind of thing that we should have been doing a long time ago, and we certainly have the means to do now. A lot of, most of the problem with assembly of the space station is obviously the spacewalk times are prohibitive. It's just not doable. But I figured out, and I'm sure others before me, but even 14 years ago, I was writing about assembling this stuff in space by having entire teams of people in dark rooms using telesensing and virtual reality, so that they're seeing what these little assembly bots are seeing, and they're doing all the construction by these robots out in space, and
with like a 7-second delay.
No, it'd be nothing. No, it would be half a second.
Nothing, yeah.
Really, there's no latency.
No, not much.
We have more latency on this show than they have going to space.
Actually, yeah. Believe it or not, low Earth orbit is 100 miles.
Yeah, so it's essentially no latency at all. If you have to go out to geostationary orbit and back, it's almost a second. But anyway, so there was that, and coupled with that is something that I think is key to the whole endeavor, and that is that NASA looks like they've gotten to final approval for a mission to asteroid number 16, which is Psyche. Yes. Psyche is an interesting asteroid. We've seen many asteroids now. We've got close-up pictures of at least 15
Psyche has me more psyched than anything else in space right now.
That's what's interesting about Psyche, ladies and gentlemen. Number 16, so they name the asteroid in the order of its discovery, and then they give it a name. So 16 Psyche was the 16th asteroid discovered. But unlike almost all the rest of them, which are basically just dusty balls of rock and loose accumulations of debris, Psyche appears to be made mostly out of metal, and I'll just read the opening sentence of this article. The value of all of the nickel and iron that scientists believe make up 16 Psyche's potato-shaped asteroid in the outer reaches of the asteroid belt totals some 10,000 quadrillion dollars.
But the exciting thing, Bill, isn't the value of the metal. It's that it's already in space.
You don't have to lift it.
Bingo.
Exactly. It's just there.
I see. So we don't have to land this on the surface of the planet to make it useful. We can use it while it's out there.
It'd be insane to bring it to the surface of the... Well, look, let me rephrase that. It would be insane to put it on the surface of the planet and then take it up again. You keep a lot of it in space to manufacture what you want to. You deorbit the stuff for Earth. 10,000 quadrillion dollars worth of metal.
Well, we do with that much cheap building material.
Well, just think about it, man. I mean, that's 10,000 quadrillion. A quadrillion is 1,000 trillion, right? So,
do they have any of these asteroids that are made out of other building materials like lumber or sheetrock or anything like that?
Drywall would be handy, yeah.
Because I'm not accustomed to working with metal.
What's the stuff I'm thinking of?
I can do a wood screw with a Ryobi drill.
Hang on. They've got an asteroid that's made entirely out of Bondo. But
I had a car, a Pinto, that was made almost entirely out of Bondo.
10,000 quadrillion. 1 quadrillion is 1,000 trillion, and our national debt is 25 trillion. Our total unfunded liabilities is 200 trillion. So to pay it all off, all of it, would be less than a quarter of a quadrillion dollars, and this has 10,000 quadrillion dollars worth of money.
And the reason why Bill's doing an episode about this is he's already part of a multi-level marketing organization that is selling futures of this asteroid.
Exactly. So what happens is I sell a ton of the asteroid, then I get you guys in. You both sell a ton of asteroid metals.
We sell the same ton that you already sold.
Right. So you sell $2.5 billion worth of metals. Let's say each one of you recruits 2 people down on each leg. They each sell $2 billion. Next thing you know, I'm a quadrillionaire. That's an astonishing number, and it's a real number. It's not a made-up number.
So let me ask you a question, and forgive my ignorance of everything at all, but can you park one of these things? Like it's flying along? Can we bring it into like geostationary orbit and let it hover?
Yes.
Yeah,
but there's no reason to do that. I mean, Steve's absolutely right. The amount of energy it takes to get something from the asteroid belt to Earth orbit, especially if you're not in a hurry, if you're ready to spend a year or two, It's insignificant. It's just you could practically, honest to God, it's like throwing a baseball. It's insignificant. So what you do
you'd
is
be running barges back and forth?
Yeah, you just run out to Psyche, and you put a little facility there, can be automated, and you just ship ore, and you just use a little electromagnetic railgun and just fire them off. It takes a year or two to get to Earth, catch it in Earth orbit, recycle the launcher, and you've got $10,000 quadrillion worth of stuff. Let me tell you why this is important. $10,000 quadrillion is quite a bit of money. Quite a bit of money. The total amount of private property held in the United States is about $73 trillion, which is not $100 trillion, which is 1/10 of $1 quadrillion, of which there are 10,000 of these things out there.
The mind can't grasp
not in terms of the money.
The magnitude of this. Now, the actual value of steel would plummet to virtually nothing. Nobody's going to get rich on a quadrillion of steel because it's not going to be worth that much anymore. But what happens is you have immense value in the things that you could suddenly afford to build in places you could never afford to build them.
Like space stations that hold 1,500 people and rotate to build their own
I
gravity.
will ask our members at this point in the show that you may want to go get the kids and bring them into the room right now because we're going to need a lot of miners for this.
A lot of miners. That's right. Miners. The whole thing is really run on the idea of child labor. That's the part I think that works.
We're going to put kids in space.
You got to have little fingers to get into those little cracks in the asteroids, so that you can get the really good stuff.
And just as an encouragement for mom and dad, in space, no one can hear you scream.
That's right.
That's
just
imagine having all the joy of children without being able to hear them scream.
18 years of daycare, and for this you get billions of dollars in exchange.
That ain't
Don't
bad.
make me turn the space shuttle around.
Sweet. So that's actually very exciting. Very exciting.
I got to make a note of that. Hang on a second.
Yeah,
this is Bill Whittle, quadrillion something. He went to the quadrillion.
It was my understanding there would be no math, and
Yeah.
boy, did we blow past that one.
Asteroid.
Okay.
By the way, I don't know why this reminds me of this. I'm at lunch at work, the other work, and I was talking to somebody about some books I'm reading. I just got done reading Shattered Sword, actually listened to the audiobook, The Battle of Midway. I'm reading a book about the Cold War right now. I'm reading another book about the Constitution. I'm doing this. And this woman across the table from me goes, "Hey, you like to read a lot?" And I said, "Yeah, I actually do. I do a lot of reading." And she said, "I got a recommendation for you." And I said, "Oh, okay, sure." She goes, "Have you read this book about astral projection?" I thought, perhaps you didn't pick up on my genre.
I have. You mean What Went Wrong by Hillary Clinton? Is that the book you're referring to? Yeah.
No, he said astral projection.
Oh, sorry.
There were several punctuation marks that designed to conceal the true letters of that word.
So that's the members, and then for the regular
members.
one, so I've got 2 episodes of 2 stories each.
Okay.
It's more efficient that way.
Yes.
The other 2 are again from Instapundit. A psychiatrist. This is a psychiatrist claims that Donald Trump is the greatest mass killer ever.
A what? I'm sorry. I thought you said that Donald Trump is the greatest mass killer ever.
Mass killer ever.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's the greatest mass killer ever. This is a
Well,
psychiatrist.
if he were one, he would be the greatest one.
Here's the quote. Yeah, he'd be. He's
The
huge.
classiest,
He's huge.
most luxurious.
When it comes to mass murder, he's huge.
That's right.
But here's what's interesting. Here's the direct quote. Trump is as defective. Trump is as destructive a person in this century as Hitler, Stalin, Mao in the last century. He may be responsible for many million more deaths than they were. However, you do not want to call Trump mentally ill because this tarnishes the reputation of harmless mentally ill people out there. And God knows you don't want to tarnish any reputations while you're going through this.
This person
But
said
much
this,
better.
or you're doing that as an aside?
No, this is what the person said.
Wow.
So that's one, and this one's even better. Related, Washington Post columnist warns of the need to burn down the Republican Party to wipe out Trump's opponents. Jen Rubin, who's got things like burn down the Republican Party. It's not only that Trump has to lose, but all of his enablers have to lose. We have to collectively, in essence, burn down the Republican Party. We have to level them because if there are survivors, if there are people who weather this storm, they will do it again. Interesting that somebody named Jennifer Rubin would use that kind of language of, yes, you have to eliminate the nits in order to get rid of the lice. You know,
I'm sure it was very metaphorical. It's a very metaphorical kind of thing.
So my point on this, actually, my spiffy close, is simply this. It kind of goes unsaid, but maybe we should just say it. The main reason that I may or may not have one or several assault rifles in my possession, and when assault rifles I mean semi-automatic rifles, is not to protect me against the British or the Chinese or the Russians or against criminals. It's to protect me from psychologists and journalists. That's who it's there to protect me from. Honest to God, I'm as serious as I can be. It's there to protect me from people like this.
Now, Stevie, you were in on the early days of the blogosphere. Wasn't Jen Rubin some sort of purported Republican or conservative?
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to Berkeley journalism school, I think. But yeah, that kind of
conservative hotbed.
You know, my favorite story from Berkeley, I was living in San Francisco when Jerry Garcia died. My friend RJ was visiting from Humboldt County, where we both used to live, my best friend. And while I was at work, he was visiting some other friends in Berkeley. And he gave me a call towards the end of the work day so we could figure out where we were going to meet for drinks. And I said, "Did you hear about Jerry Garcia?" And he said, "Are you kidding? I'm in Berkeley. You do not want to be standing under any bridges here right now."
Education, University of California at Berkeley in history, University of California at Berkeley JD.
Juris Doctorate. She's a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah,
She's
she was in it at the Other Network back in the early days.
Yeah.
Very big on McCain, very big on Romney, very big on Obama.
She was at the Other Network, wasn't she?
Well, I was wondering why she is so, in my mind, because I don't read columnists in the Washington Post. I'm like, why do I know this one? And that's it.
Well, she pulled a full Dave Weigel. That's where you pretend to be a conservative to get fame to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And once you do that, you then get your cushy left-wing job at some place like the Washington Post.
Right.
And as I said, this is the full Dave Weigel.
I was a conservative, and I am a conservative, and I'm here to condemn the Republican Party. It's not conservatism as we know. And she, prior to her career in journalism, she practiced labor law for 2 decades, as most conservative commentators and pundits usually do. So anyway, I just thought the angle I want to take on this is, I know people hyperventilate about, people on the left hyperventilate about the rhetoric, like this is incitement to murder. I don't believe that. Not for nonsense. Yeah. Although it is, I just don't believe that people are susceptible to it. But I've got weapons, and that's sometimes the only thing that helps me sleep at night, because to protect myself against people like Jennifer Rubin and her fascist, totalitarian intolerance of anything that does not agree with her and her Berkeley perspective on anything. Burn them down, exterminate them all, don't let any survive because they'll just do it again.
Yeah, and she said that, my understanding is she didn't write this in a column. She was being interviewed on MSNBC.
Yes.
I tried to watch the video clip earlier today, but you ever go to one of those news stories where it says this is the headline and the video clips in line with that story are completely unrelated? They don't.
I'm sure they pulled it down.
Jen Rubin did not appear in any video clip that I could find.
I'm sure they pulled it down.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But anyway,
so
those are my two adventures.
Well, you hate to see a good kid turn like that. But anyway, Stephen Green, this is your shining moment.
Well, I actually have 2 topics, Scott. So if I will name them both, and if one of them is the one you wanted, you take it, and I'll do the other one. How about that?
And if it's not, I say you do 2 episodes and I take a breather.
Or not. Alternately. We could go with my plan, or I'll just name one topic and maybe it's yours and I'll keep it.
I'll guess the second topic. The amazing Kreskin. Go ahead.
I miss him. What were my topics? We can either talk about the Obamas spending $15 million on a beach house at Martha's Vineyard that is 1 meter. That's 3 feet for those of us who are from countries that have been to the moon. Above sea level.
I never get tired of it.
Ever. I know. I love that.
I never, ever tire of it. I never will. It's like quiz time.
It's just the best. Although I don't think even our members know about quiz time.
No, they don't know about quiz time. I will say, Stephen, in defense of the President of the United States, if he's 1 meter above sea level, he's at no risk in the United States. We don't do metric.
That's right. It'll never rise that far.
That's right. So sea level's supposed to rise by 10 centimeters, but we don't use centimeters, so we have nothing to worry
It
about.
will never rise by 1 meter here.
Not here, by God.
Yeah,
we're immune. That's why we have the mirror system.
You know what I'd like to see? It occurs to me, one of my favorite structures in the world is the Golden Gate Bridge. My office wasn't my office. I had to share with other people when I was working in San Francisco. Had this beautiful view of the whole Golden Gate. We're up on the 30th floor of Shackley Terrace, and boy, you could see the avenues, the Golden Gate into Marin, and then just a little bit of the East Bay. It's just glorious. What I would like to see is where was the water line on the two big supports, on the two big suspension supports, say 50 years ago, versus where's the water line on that today? Has it actually come up? Or
I'd be willing to bet you that if it was significantly higher today, we might have seen some pictures.
See, this is what I'm thinking, and instead, what we really have is a coastal erosion problem because we build a lot more stuff on the coast than we used to because there are a lot more people with a lot more money.
Well, I'm trying to picture a justification that the Obamas might have. I guess it is an act of compassion on behalf of the poor that they would have their home in this area where they would not want the poor to live. Because if the water would come up, the poor would not be able to have the freedom to get out of there as quickly as he could. So
it takes brave and selfless people to live on beachfront property and protect the poor.
That's right.
And keep them inland where they'll be nice and safe in their high-rise cities.
And Scott, you like to say if you're going to preach sobriety, you don't go to an AA meeting, you go to a bar. Well, if you're going to help the poor, clearly you do that for Martha's Vineyard.
Well, all I can say is thank God for real men and for President Obama.
As well as both of them.
Those are Venn diagrams that with no overlap.
Don't overlap.
No, or Venn circles. And my other possible topic is you guys. We may have even done a segment on this on China's social credit scheme. Really, their social
I would like to talk
control
about that.
scheme. Well, if you haven't read about this, I'll give you the quick lowdown. They're rolling this out in stages, and they hope to have it fully in place sometime next year. But basically, if your neighbor catches you smoking in a non-designated smoking area, they can dock you with the app. If the state-owned telecom catches you spending too many hours playing online video games, they can dock your social credit from there. Just all these tiny little infractions add up. But if your social credit turns negative, then you can be denied things like the ability to travel by air. Or if it gets down even lower, you can't buy the nicer train tickets. And, you're stuck on the trunk line that takes 15 hours to get anywhere.
That's going to improve your attitude.
Oh, yeah. That's right. The beatings will continue until the attitude improves.
They can keep your kids out of better schools. They can prevent you from getting jobs either with the government or the banking industry. Just all these things to just force people into line. And you can increase your social credit by doing things like reporting on your neighbors for playing too many video games or whatever. So
yes.
the way to increase your social credit is to become a conspicuously good little communist. Now, hold my soy latte on this whole thing. We're going to bring that to the United States and the West, and the genius of it is we don't even need government to whip you people into line.
We'll whip ourselves into line.
Yeah.
As long as it's shiny.
So, Scott, did you have either of those topics?
Actually, those were on what I was going to call a short list, but it was a very long list, and those were two on my very long list, but I did not opt for either one.
Okay, well, does anybody have a preference over which one to talk about?
They're both good.
Yeah, the social credit one might be a little more evergreen if we wanted to delay it till next week. But the
Are
Obama
you suggesting the
beachfront is
Obama
a
mansion will
little
be
hard.
underwater if we delay on that one?
It very well could be, and
don't
then
we
we're going to
do
go
the-
full Nelson Muntz.
Why don't we do the social? Let's do the social one
Social
now.
credit, yeah,
Yeah, it's hot
that's a
now,
good topic.
and,
I like it.
and we never
I'd
covered
like
it.
to
We
put him in
covered
a full
climate
Nelson.
change quite a bit.
Okay, let's do.
However, I'm sure you can fold that into your conclusion in terms of Obama's score. You know,
That's right.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're going to do the social credit thing.
Yeah, and I wrote a column on
And
this
Scotty,
for
you got
PJ
I'm sorry to
yesterday.
interrupt.
Let me give you the headline. It was.
Scotty, you can fold
I'll
your
find this for you.
you can fold your Obama's just basically fallen on the sword for poor people. You can run that in there too, as in terms of increasing his social credit score. You know, it's a shame to let
I
jokes
think
like that go to waste.
we should introduce a new weekly segment called Apropos of Nothing. And
I love that.
I could just throw stuff like that in.
I think we
It's
already
actually
do
the
that,
motto
and
of
we
this
call it
company, by the way.
Backstage.
That's not well known, but that's what's on our letterhead.